Ukraine's military intelligence chief, Kirill Budanov, has acknowledged that direct negotiations with Russia are inevitable if the nearly four-year war is to end, marking a notable shift in tone from one of Kyiv's most hardline figures. Speaking to Ukrainian broadcaster Suspilne in an interview published on Saturday, Budanov said a negotiation process cannot be avoided and argued that any serious talks must take place behind closed doors to succeed. Budanov stressed that history shows sensitive conflicts rarely end through public diplomacy. He warned that openness and media pressure often derail progress, a view that closely mirrors Moscow's long-held position that peace talks should not be conducted through what it calls megaphone diplomacy. The intelligence chief also urged Ukrainian leaders to moderate their expectations, stating bluntly that weaker parties in conflicts do not dictate terms. He questioned in which domain Ukraine could realistically claim superiority over Russia, and acknowledged that it was natural for Moscow to prioritize its own interests. The comments represent a clear evolution in Budanov's public stance. Previously viewed as a hardliner, he was accused by Russian authorities of orchestrating attacks on Russian territory, leading a Moscow court to issue an arrest warrant against him in late 2023. Earlier this year, however, Budanov publicly called for a ceasefire as soon as possible, signaling a more pragmatic approach as battlefield realities and diplomatic pressure intensify. Budanov's remarks come amid a high-profile meeting between Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and U.S. President Donald Trump held at Trump's Mar-a-Lago residence in Florida. According to Zelensky, the two leaders were to discuss an updated U.S.-brokered peace framework alongside proposals for American security guarantees for Ukraine. Trump told Politico that Zelensky doesn't have anything until I approve it, adding that he expects to review the revised draft during their meeting.
En route to the United States of America, for our meeting with President Trump, we were discussing with our what we once called the Washington team, is now Bodan's team, and a broader group of European leaders. We were discussing the key documents that we will be talking about tomorrow with President Trump, the most important documents. Not all the details are known to the Europeans. They couldn't have known all the details just yet because we were operating in a bilateral format. Initially, there were only 3 Europeans involved, and then all the others joined. And 20 points discussed our stance on the territorial issue, on the Zaporizhzhia NPP, and on financial matters. Now it's simpler for us. As we mentioned, 90% of those 20 points are already done because we have a solution.
Maybe some people will like it, others won't, but nevertheless, Ukraine will receive $100 billion. This was emphasized once again.
Ursula, Andrei Laina, and Antonio Guterres, we really want these documents right after our conversation, and we truly hope for a constructive discussion in the United States.
We very much want to gather with European leaders to share all the developments we have, to discuss them, because there are security guarantees from the United States of America and also security guarantees that depend on Europeans from our European colleagues. All of this we want to discuss. I have proposed to them a plan for the upcoming days, weeks, and meetings.
They will be giving it a lot of thought and thoroughly working through all the aspects. We are scheduled to have a significant meeting with President Trump, and during that discussion, we will specifically address these particular issues. For my country and for me personally, security guarantees hold immense importance.
We want them to be absolutely clear, and it's crucial to know when we can actually have them. We have discussed this point with our European colleagues as well. Therefore, security guarantees must be provided simultaneously with the question of ending the war, because we need to be fully assured that Russia will not launch another aggression. So strong security guarantees are absolutely essential.
We will be discussing the terms. I believe they will be announced, and I think we'll dedicate a lot of attention to the economy, because there's money in Russia right now.
This is not sufficient to fully restore Ukraine. It is a significant amount, but it is still not enough. And we will be discussing various sensitive points and critical issues with the President of the United States. I believe that as the conversation progresses, I think it should be quite normal, and perhaps we will connect once more with European leaders to thoroughly discuss this matter.
The diplomatic push follows one of the heaviest Russian bombardments of Kyiv in recent months. Ukrainian authorities said a 10-hour overnight barrage of drones and missiles on Friday killed 2 people, injured at least 32, and severely damaged energy infrastructure, leaving around 40% of homes in Kyiv and surrounding areas without heating. Zelensky described the strikes as evidence that Moscow doesn't want peace, a claim he repeated after further attacks on Saturday night. Moscow's defense ministry said the strikes targeted energy facilities used in support of Ukrainian military-industrial complex, claiming the use of long-range precision weapons. Ukrainian officials reported that nearly 500 drones and 40 missiles were launched toward the capital. Meanwhile, Moscow dismissed Ukraine's newly unveiled 20-point peace proposal. Russian Deputy Foreign Minister Sergei Ryabkov said the plan differed fundamentally from ideas previously discussed between Moscow and Washington, and accused Kyiv and its European allies of undermining negotiations. Russian President Vladimir Putin, quoted by state news agency TASS, said Ukraine was in no hurry to resolve the conflict peacefully, and warned that Russia would achieve its goals by military means if diplomacy failed. Despite the escalating violence, Zelensky has expressed optimism about the revised peace plan, calling it a foundational document and claiming it is 90% complete. European and NATO leaders have reiterated their support for Kyiv, with German Chancellor Friedrich Merz saying Ukraine has full backing as diplomatic efforts intensify.
For we have united hundreds of millions of people with the idea that an aggressor cannot remain unpunished. Pose clusters for Ukraine. Such a result would already be achieved. I am confident we will achieve this goal as well. They are supporting Russia in the war against Sus, against Ukraine, those who are actively helping the aggressor. A diplomatic process is currently underway. Our group is currently returning from Miami. They'll be back tonight, and by tomorrow morning I will have all the details. In my opinion, everything we were supposed to do for the initial drafts is already in place. There are 20 points in the plan. Probably not everything is perfect, but the plan is there. There are security guarantees between us, the European countries, and the United States of America as a framework, or a framework document. There is a separate document between us and the United States of America by bilateral security guarantees. What we are seeing must be considered in the Congress of the United States of America, okay, of banks and energy companies. This deprives Putin of hundreds of billions of dollars, which I saw once again the initial work, almost 90%, frankly, of those very provisions that are crucial for us, what our army and Ukraine can count on, and after signing such guarantees, how strong we could be. And today all of this looks quite dignified. But these are still the preliminary work, the developments of our military. It's encouraging that it's not just coming from our side. Why? Because when these developments are solely from our perspective, we often wish for many things, but then it's not guaranteed that they will all materialize. And here it's crucial that this is a joint effort, both ours and the United States of America. This indicates that we are very close to a tangible, real-world result. And also the first draft of an agreement has been developed regarding the restoration of Ukraine, a comprehensive economic strategy. Our nation, our people, our defense, the heroism of Ukrainian men and women. There is no other country like it now. The fundamental core framework of all documents, in my opinion, is now ready the fundamental one. There are certain things that we perhaps are not quite ready for just yet. And then there are other things I'm absolutely certain that the Russians are not at all prepared for. The Americans have remained here now for negotiations with this particular side, with the representatives of Russia. They will conduct their discussions, and subsequently we will receive their feedback. They have already obtained all the necessary information from us. For the very first time in the entire history of Ukraine, the support for our nation is truly global. We united Europe around, but what's the bad part of the story? The bad part is when, for example, the Germans and Americans, they really wanted to arrange a Christmas truce or a Christmas ceasefire. Not that it's the end of the war, but it's always a signal that the sides want to find something, some diplomatic solution and diplomatic movement. I consider it a very bad signal, and there's nothing new in the fact that the Russians immediately came out and said, no, we don't want anything of the sort. The question isn't that they don't want this. That's perfectly clear to us. The problematic issue is that when Russia says there will be no Christmas truce, I believe that what they say always emphasizes such intimidation.
Security guarantees must be formally established in peace agreements, so they are not just a political declaration.
Well, it's in their nature to act this way for Christmas because, you know, it's precisely on our Christmas to conduct some kind of massive, large-scale strike, and that's why I'd like to add, well, today we had a meeting to discuss this. And the number one priority was the issue of air defense, the protection of our cities, our villages, and our communities, especially on the 23rd, 24th, and 25th of the month. We really need to pay close attention to this. Well, the military personnel themselves must pay very close attention and defend as best they possibly can. Pause. Everything is very complicated because there is, unfortunately, a significant shortage of air defense systems. Pause. And people should pay very, very close attention these days because they can deliver any kind of strikes. There is nothing sacred to them.